almost immediately, as soon as I switched over and I stopped eating like the convenience vegan like sausage and stuff like that, as soon as I started eating way more fruit and way less fat, my numbers instantly dropped to like 80s, very low 90s, sometimes high 70s. For give it a try. Like, yeah, eating fruit and not eating fatty foods and stuff seems pretty drastic, but having to give yourself insulin injections or taking metformin every morning and having all of those side effects, like, that's pretty drastic to me. Like, let's use stuff from the earth first before we like try and jump into all of that. Hi, my name is Carrie, and one of my favorite things about mastering diabetes is how excited it got me about being able to eat better, and just knowing how to do better, and huge for being able to do better, because you don't know until you know. Okay, so with my previous pregnancy, when I was diagnosed with gestational diabetes, I was still able to control it with diet, but it was brutal. It was a lot of ups and downs, and it was like borderline insulin. So being able to have all this information and being able to talk with my doctor and have the knowledge and to help them to see it as well, it helped for better care for me. But also it helped show my doctors that food actually does help, and it's kind of totally backwards from what the endo does tell you when you go in for the consultation with like the nutritionist. But it made a world of difference. It made it a lot easier. So my numbers, and I feel like they weren't like horribly high because I was basically like on the edge. So my numbers while I was pregnant were around, they didn't want it any higher than like 95. So I was pretty consistently either at 95 or like 97, 99. Like 103, I think, was my highest fasting number, and I had a vegan ice cream sundae the night before, I'm pretty sure. But almost immediately, as soon as I switched over and I stopped eating like the convenience vegan like sausage and stuff like that, as soon as I started eating way more fruit and way less fat, my numbers instantly dropped to like 80s, very low 90s, sometimes high 70s for fasting. Since having the baby, life has been crazy because she is my fifth baby. But I definitely feel way better, for sure. Yeah, well, so that's the thing, is that I like all food. So ironically enough, I'm a whole food plant-based chef, so it's kind of hilarious that I would end up with elevated sugars. But one of my favorite things, I love overnight oats, but I like overnight oats for lunch time, not breakfast, because I like the savory breakfast. But basically anything that involves rice and a bunch of chopped veggies and either like a teriyaki sauce. Also that breakfast, or the lasagna that I would eat for breakfast that we came up with, was really awesome. All right. So, I mean, the biggest problem that it solved for me was that I was staring down having to do insulin injections. As a mom of 4 and pregnant with my 5th, and I wasn't having it. So I made a call. I booked a call with Robbie, and it was like, you know what? No, we're just doing this. And that was a huge thing because I needed it. I needed the help. Very much so. Yes. No insulin. I know how to do it because they showed me, but I don't have to do it. And I left the office with my giant apple from the endo. She's like, you're not going to eat that whole thing, are you? It was a Honeycrisp. It was like this big. I'm like, oh, you bet. but I am. Yes, I was scared because I don't want to say I come from a long line of type 2 diabetics because it's not a genetic thing, but it's a lifestyle thing. So I was determined that I would not follow that pattern. Because my mom, my grandmother, probably even my great grandmother, I don't know, but to be able to not have to go through that was huge. Actually, this is a great question because I've been talking with my mom about it a lot, and I gave her the book, and whenever she's in the car with me, I turn on the podcast and make her listen to it. Um, really, I just want to tell you, like, give it a try. Like, yeah, eating fruit and not eating fatty foods and stuff seems pretty drastic, but, you know, having to give yourself insulin injections or taking metformin every morning and having all of those side effects, like, that's pretty drastic to me. Like, let's use stuff from the earth first before we, like, try and jump into all of that. Because it's like, what are you going to lose?